Hey guys, what's up? Today I have a story time for you. Before we get started, of course I have to go through the boring self-promo stuff, so if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of the video, and now we can go ahead and get started. So if you've been here for at least a couple of videos, then you know about my dog Spike, who's standing right next to me because he loves the camera. But today's story time is going to be a little bit of a story about what we went through to get him, and like it was kind of a disaster, not really a disaster, but like it was not what we expected, and I think it's like an interesting story and you guys wanted a story time, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. So Zachary and I have kind of always wanted a dog. We just never I don't know, it just never really worked out. Hold on, this camera angle's funny. Okay, so Zachary and I were just like hanging out in the living room, totally chilling, like not doing anything crazy. And we got a text from Zachary's sister that this dog needed a home because some people were getting rid of it and whatever. So we were like, oh, okay, like what kind of dog is it? Can we see pictures? So they sent us pictures. And obviously it was Spike in the pictures, but he looked much smaller. The pictures they sent were very deceiving. He looked like he was maybe, I don't know if you can see my hands, like yay long, and like he looked like a corgi maybe. We knew he wasn't a corgi, but we thought he was still a smaller puppy, and we didn't realize his size. So keep that in mind. That's going to be important further on in the video. But we saw him in the pictures and we're like, he's so cute, he's adorable, we don't want him to have to go to like a shelter or something. So we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll take him. So a week I think passed, and it was time for us to go pick him up. So we drive down to the house that we're supposed to go get him at, and the lady opens the door and there's two big old dogs. And I was like, okay, well, one's a pit bull and the other one's not, so I know which one is Spike, but he's big. And comparing it to what he thought he was huge. Not only was he huge, he was crazy. Now, these two dogs were both locked up in their cages separately and were somehow still being insanely wild, like out of control, crazy. And I just looked at Zachary like, what? Like, what? How have we gotten ourselves into? Because I feel like at this point, we've already said yes to the dog. We already drove down here. We already have the mindset that we're getting him. Like, we can't just back out. Like, we're in this for the long run, right? So we go in. We meet him. She lets him out of the cage. He's crazy, running everywhere, jumping on people. They have a cat in the house. He's chasing the cat. He's trying to play with the other big dog. It's a madhouse. It's insane. So in the midst of all this, I'm like, what's wrong with his eye? Because if you guys have seen, he has a cherry eye, and it's like pretty big, and it gets bad when he's excited. So I go, what's wrong with his eye? And the girl who had him at the time was like, oh, when he was younger, he got in a fight with a cat or something, and it scratched it, and it's been like that ever since. Which at the time, I knew nothing about a cherry eye in a dog, so I was like, oh, okay, whatever, like it doesn't seem to be affecting him, like he's fine. So we're like, okay, let's take him. And we're like, what? We don't even know what to do. She gives us a cage, food, and the dog. So we take him in the car. We get the cage all folded up, stick that in the trunk. We get Spike in the car. And I'm freaking out. I've never had a dog before. I've had a cat when I was really little, and then we got cats a few years ago at my parents' house, but I've never owned a dog. So I had no idea what to expect. Obviously, I've been around people who have dogs. I've spent time with dogs, like I know how dogs are, but I've never owned a dog. And my first dog ever is this giant pit bull who's a spaz. So I was stressed. Plus, we planned to go straight from this girl's house to PetSmart because it was down the road, and we knew we had to get him stuff. We had to get him a bed, we had to get him more food, we had to get him treats, we needed a collar, we needed a leash, like we needed a bunch of stuff. So I see him being crazy in the house and being crazy in the car, and I'm like, how are we going to take him to the store with other pets and people and stuff? But we did it anyways because Zachary was like, babe, it's fine. We have to take him. We got to go get this stuff. I don't want to leave him home alone, like right after we got him. Like, let's take him with us. So I was like, okay, whatever. Let's go. We go to PetSmart. It's literally down the street. So the drive is like no big deal. Except that when we're in the car, Zachary he drives a Scion XB, so like it's a lift gate, so like the trunk connects to the rest of the car, so like we could see him from the trunk, so like he wasn't like trapped in there, like he was good, it was all good. But we had the cage folded up, leaning against the side, and then Spike was like right here. Well, we didn't realize the cage was gonna like move when Zachary like drove. So I'm sitting there in the passenger seat and I realize the cage is like tipping and like sliding and it's gonna fall on Spike, so I'm like, crap. Then I have to run into the back seat and I'm like sitting in like the trunk holding this, making sure Spike's okay, and like that was an adventure, but that's not really part of the story. So we get to PetSmart, we go in, he's actually being okay, like he's not reacting to people really, he's just excited to be there in general, he's just hanging out having a good time. So we grab some stuff we need, we're looking at treats. Next thing I know, I turn around, Spike is peeing on the cards at PetSmart. So like, you know how they have a little section and there's like little cards with dogs, like if someone's dog is sick or something, you could send them a little card like get better soon. Yeah. So there's that little rack of cards and Spike is peeing on it. And I just got this dog and I've never had a dog before. Remember? So Zachary takes Spike outside because we kind of stopped him and he took him outside to teach him we pee outside. So while he's outside, I'm like, okay, well this needs to be cleaned up, he just peed. So I tell the lady at the front, I'm like, hey, my dog just peed, because I don't know what to do about it. And she's like, okay, great. So there's a self-cleanup station over there, go get the stuff and clean it up. I was like, oh, okay. Because I've never had a dog before, I didn't know that was a thing. I go to PetSmart to like look at the kittens. I don't go to PetSmart to buy stuff for a dog and take my dog and have them pee on the floor. I didn't know how that whole cleanup thing worked. So I'm like, oh, okay. So that was an adventure in itself. So we get everything worked out and we go to the car to go home, right? We bought him food bowls and stuff, so we gave him some water. He drank some water. We're like, okay, it's time to get in the car and go home. Well, Spike, for some reason, didn't understand the concept of jumping into the car. So Zachary had to pick him up. So Zachary has always had a little small dog named Georgia. She's a small little dog. So he's used to just like, whoop, pick you up and put you in the car. So he was like, okay, let me do the same thing with Spike, who's 60 pounds instead of 20. So he grabs him by the chest, goes to grab him in the lower area, and grabs his penis. Funny for me, Zachary didn't think it was so funny, but got him in the car and it was great. Spike probably loved it. So we get home, we get all this stuff set up, and this dang dog will not calm down. And I'm like, this is not good. This is a spastic dog. We're not even allowed to have him in the apartment complex because he's not an approved breed here. We don't allow pit bulls. So I'm like, this is not good. Like, we're gonna get caught. Things are gonna go wrong. And I have this crazy pit bull and I can't get rid of him now. Like, he's my dog. He finally calmed down. It was all good. Zachary's parents came over to meet him. He got excited for that, but he was being good. He was just a wild puppy. Like, we had to keep reminding ourselves, like, he's huge, but he's a puppy. He was like 10 or 11 months when we got him. So we're like, he's still a puppy. We just have to give him some time. He wasn't neutered yet, so that was also an issue. Eventually, he was good. So nighttime rolls around. It's time to go to bed. We were kind of worried about this because we just don't know. We don't know how he was treated at home, if he had to be in a cage to go to bed, if he slept in their bed. We didn't really know how that went, so it was kind of nerve-wracking. So we decided we will just go to bed and see what he does. We didn't want to pull the cage out because he was acting good. We didn't want to like we didn't know if he was used to the cage and stuff, so we just didn't go along with the cage yet. Or did we? I don't remember. But anyways, we go to bed, we're laying there trying to fall asleep, and we hear this whining. So Spike is whining. Uncontrollably, will not stop whining. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I need to go to sleep for one, and for two, if someone complains about a whining dog, we're screwed because we can't have you here. So I get up, I let him in the room, jumps on the bed, goes to sleep. That's all he wanted. And me and Zachary were like, well, what do we do? Because we initially didn't want him on the bed or on the couch because we just wanted to keep it as clean and like pet hair free as possible. We don't want it to smell like dog. We don't want him jumping up there when like if someone comes over and they want to sit on the couch, they don't want the dog like jumping on them. So our whole plan was to just not let the dog on any of the furniture. But then we realized, oh, he's gonna whine unless he's in the bed with us. So we weren't happy about that. But time moved on, we figured it out. He ruined some furniture because we weren't caging him. So now bedtime and when we're not home, he does go in his kennel. It works out great. He's fine now. He grew up a little bit. He got neutered. No more balls. And now he's pretty chill and relaxed unless he sees someone outside. He goes berserk. Or if someone comes over, he goes bonkers because he's so excited. And he also cannot play with other dogs because he thinks he's playing, but he's actually being mean and hurting them. So he's definitely not a dog kind of dog. Like, I'm not a people person, he's not a dog. And I guess that's the end of my story. There was really like no climax, like no exciting points, but you guys really wanted a story time, and that was like the only story time I could come up with besides something that happened to me 6 years ago, which I felt like was just outdated. But if you guys do want to hear that story, it's still pretty interesting, so comment down below if you want that for another story time. But that's it. That's the story of how we got Spike and kind of how the whole day went. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!